Okay.
Dallas Cowboys 40, Giants 0. Sometimes the Sunday night game, it's like it's the last game we're talking about, and you got to really bring it. There's man, what a bad game this was.
Well, it was a rain game, so it doesn't mean anything.
It was a rain game. The best thing the Giants did, the opening drive, the Giants are cooking, man. They got the run game going, misdirection. They're moving the ball. They're moving it. Get stopped in the red zone. Let's just line up for a field goal. We'll take the 3. We'll be up 3-0 on the favorited Dallas Cowboys.
It's kind of funny how...
And then, but then, I didn't finish.
No, I know that.
Then the field goal was blocked in return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then things got bad for the Giants after that.
Well, yeah, they were bad then, and then they got worse and worse and worse. It's kind of funny how a lot of these games that end up in absurd blowouts in one direction or the other, 40-0, often start with the team that got whooped doing quite well, like the opening drive. Remember when the Vikings lost the NFC Championship game to Philadelphia by some similar 40-whatever beat down? Like, they scored first. Like, their opening drive was like a touchdown. You're like, wow, this is going well. And then from that moment on, they just got stomped to death. It's weird. Like, the Giants on that opening drive look good. Again, Daniel Jones kept making plays with his legs. It's like, how many times does this guy have to kill people on the ground before you actually accept that he's a real rushing threat? And then from the moment that field goal was blocked, nothing went the Giants' way for the rest of the game.
The Giants have been outscored 78-7 in their last 2 games.
That's not great.
Both against the 2 top teams in their division. The Eagles in the playoffs, they lost 38-7 and then 40-0 yesterday with Dallas.
Yeah.
Now, all that said, I think let's give a glimmer of hope maybe for the Giants. Their defense played pretty well, I think, in the rain game. The defense was fine. Like, the defense didn't give up all those points, really.
No.
It was all short fields and turnovers. Like, the offense was an absolute disaster. The defense itself was not a train wreck.
The defense played well.
Listen, it was a 40-0 game. The defense was the strength of this game.
Well, yeah. I mean, on the basis that it wasn't the offense and it probably wasn't the special teams after getting a field goal blocked.
That's correct.
It had to be the defense. I still don't think it was good. I mean, remember, heading into this game, Dallas didn't have Tyler Smith at guard. They then lost another player midway through the game. Like, they were down to third-string guards, and the Giants, who had their strength on the defense should be the defensive line, wasn't really doing that much. Like, they weren't able to exploit even that to get anything done.
We've seen the Cowboys do this before. It was against the Eagles backups one year, but they had this other. Oh, it was against the Colts last year, right? When they just absolutely destroyed them, like 33-0 in the second half.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys have these games where just everything goes right, and you see 3-phase domination. Kickoff return for a touchdown. They had a pick 6. 7 sacks of Daniel Jones. Felt like 15. I mean, this was top to bottom Dallas absolutely wrecking the Giants and looking like maybe the best all-around team in the NFL. And I guess I was trying to give credit to the Giants defense a little bit because, I don't think the Cowboys offense wasn't great. I mean, they didn't do much through the air because they didn't need to. They ran the ball effectively with all their lightning running backs, Sam. Remember we talked to they don't need thunder. Who needs Zeke plotting for 3 yards per carry when you have all these dynamic rushers like Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn? Just go lightning and liking. Devontae Turpin with a touchdown. I mean, Dallas just looked good across the board, man.
Yeah.
Obviously. I'm stating the obvious here.
Yes. No, they did. I mean, when you win a game 40-0, you probably looked pretty good.
I like that play you tweeted out, Micah Parsons. Like the Giants decided to double team Micah Parsons and took the other rusher and just like, whatever, we're not going to block him.
Yeah, Micah Parsons was insane in this game. I mean, this was, again, we said this with Myles Garrett, right? There are going to be a lot of candidates for Defensive Player of the Year this year, all of whom are deserving. TJ Watt, we talked about absolutely destroying McKivitz at right tackle. Myles Garrett was a massive difference maker for that game. There's just a list of them. But Micah Parsons had a game where you're working through, you're like, I don't know how you stop that. Like, he's just destroying people. They had a screen. Like, Evan Neal almost gave up a sack and a screen because Micah Parsons just breezed past him like he wasn't there. It's madness how quickly he can beat people. It's a lot like Von Miller, in his prime, where he would just like swoop past people and they don't even get a hand on him at right tackle. Von Miller, it sounds weird to say it, but Parsons might be able to win in more ways than Von Miller did. Like his real party piece was that inside sort of move that Von Miller had where he would just swing in and the guy wouldn't even get fingers on him. Micah Parsons is doing that. He's running right over the top of people. He's beating them on the outside. He's just annihilating everybody. And yeah, there was that play where they double teamed him with the left tackle and the left guard. And I don't think they were intending to do this, but frankly, if they had, I would have understood. He was causing so many problems for that double team that nobody could come off the block and go get the guy on the edge who just had a free run to walk to the quarterback and sack him. Like, that's the perfect example of a play where I don't know that he even got pressure on that. He probably got zero statistical production out of that play, but Micah Parsons created a sack by basically being unblockable with one single human. You needed to dedicate the entire left side of the offensive line to try and stop him on that play. Consequently, somebody was completely unblocked. This was signature, defensive player of the year type of play. He was unstoppable.
Speaking of defensive player of the year, former defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore, has been added to the team, right? He won one, didn't he? He looked good as well. Like the two offseason additions I referenced 900 times were Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks. They didn't need Brandon Cooks a whole lot. He did have, I think it was a key third down conversion.
Yeah.
They didn't need much Brandon Cooks, but Stephon Gilmore looked good out there, had a pick, and that's what makes Dallas scary, man. They can win what I described with the Eagles last year. Win with pass rush, win with coverage in the back end, win with the run game. And we didn't even see Dallas have to lean on the pass game, which I still think is one of their strengths because of CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks and Dak running the show.
And Trayvon Diggs ends up having a great game with forced fumbles. He wasn't even in coverage necessarily, but he had the big pop on Saquon Barkley that got the ball out and forced a fumble. And then later,
rain game.
Yeah. The Giants finally get like one good thing break their way, right? Like a catch and run by Isaiah Hodgins looks like it's going to get their biggest play of the day. And Trayvon Diggs just like hawks him down from behind, pulls the ball out. You're like, nope, you're not even getting that. Shutout is going to be secured. You're getting nothing in this game.
From a Giants perspective, whole offseason, you pay Daniel Jones, you give Saquon Barkley a $900,000 raise, bring in Darren Waller, and just an absolute dud on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. I
think the biggest losers in this, though, were Chris and Mike Tirico. They're just they were pulling out every story they could.
I think that's good for them, though. They get a lot of fun where they just get to talk about random stuff.
I know, but it's so tough, and they're trying to keep viewers like, stick with us. I know it's a beatdown, and it's rain, and the Giants can't even block anybody, but stick with us.
We're going to talk about Paris. We're going to dive into somebody's, childhood history. Like, they got all kinds of stuff. By the way, that Tony Pollard story.
He was 4 years old.
That sounded quite a lot like child abuse.
They're throwing a 4-year-old out there with 7-year-olds?
They're throwing a 4-year-old out there in tackle football against 7-year-olds, and his first drill was tackling a line of players. Like, dude, you can't do that to a kid. What are you talking about?
You should have seen him. He's a stud.
And they're like, but he loved it. Look at him now. The NFL running back.
That's called training.
That guy, Chris Nowinski, the brain dude at Harvard or whatever, would be like, I should check his Twitter feed. He was probably going insane at that story.
No, he wasn't listening by then. That's the thing. You could drop those stories once everybody's left the game.
That sounded bad. It's like, here's a fun story about his childhood.
What a beatdown.
That doesn't sound that good.
Cowboys Jets next week.
But this was another one of those dynamics, right? Is the Giants' offensive line this bad, or is Dallas's pass rush this good, or both those things happen at the same time? Because Evan Neal wrecked all game long. That was supposed to be, he needs to take a big step forward. Mark Lewinsky at guard, annihilated. John Michael Smith, the rookie center, didn't play particularly well. That's 3/5 of the offensive line that was getting wrecked fairly regularly.
I think it's both. I think it's definitely both. Dallas is going to do that, right? You always mention, even if you have an average offensive line, which we preach, when you go up against the best pass rushes, that's still probably not good enough. That was like Carolina in the Super Bowl against Denver back in 2015. Carolina's offensive line was fine, but when you go up against Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware and friends, it's challenging. So Dallas is that good, and the Giants, they'll be better in non-Dallas games, but yeah, Cowboys look legit.
There's a lot of friendly fire in NFL yesterday. I was just looking through Nowinski's timeline to see if he was bitching about that thing. Did you see Vita Vea take out Levante David?
No, did not.
It's
9:34. It's time to wrap it up.
I don't even know what Vita Vea was doing, but he absolutely murdered him.
Oh.
And then
they're on the same team.
Mike Williams seemed to get concussed by like an accidental collision with a linebacker. They did, a sort of stacked release thing, and the linebacker was just fighting through the traffic and just like took out Mike Williams on the way through his release.
I saw he was down for a bit. I wasn't sure exactly.
I don't know if he actually is in the concussion protocol, but he was hit in the head and was down for a while, so I'm assuming that was concussed.